Elon Musk sig-heiling at the inauguration as one of the anti-Semitic incidents that happened in the year 2024 or 2025. That is why this list is busted.
Anti-Semitic.
Okay, this is awesome. Okay, very excited. I want to hear what Dana Fash and Jonathan Greenblatt have to say about anti-Semitic incidents at its highest level and where that anti-Semitism is coming from. And I'm sure that the Apartheid Defense League is going to have a very reasonable position on all of this, right? Now, a couple of things that I want to mention here. Is anti-Semitism, like real anti-Semitism, not like anti-Israel shit, on the rise in the United States of America? Absolutely. If you say that that is not the case, you are delusional, okay? You have out and about David Duke style neo-Nazis running their mouths on a daily basis. You got 14-year-olds who are hearing from Dan Bilzerian about the Talmud and how it, showcases the real nature of the Jew, the international Jewry, and its mechanisms of control. Like, all of that shit is now becoming more and more normalized. That's terrifying. That's absolutely anti-Semitic. Okay? Part of the reason why that's blowing up is because of the likes of Dana Fash, as a matter of fact, because of the likes of CNN, because the reality of the matter is all of these institutions have constantly made the false conflation that Israel is for the Jews and Jews are for Israel. And if you ever criticize Israel, then you're anti-Semitic. And all of that violence is in direct display for an audience that gets most of their news from TikTok. So they see the violence and they don't see the contextualizations that these dipshits try to offer. But they do hear the constant deflections and the constant ways in defending Israel by conflating it with Judaism. Okay? So they go, I don't like what this is. This is baby. Don't have the social conditioning that a 55-year-old man has in terms of Israel being the most moral nation on the planet. All those lies that people have told in perpetuity about Israel, you didn't hear if you were younger, if you're under the age of 35, and you saw babies being live-streamed Holocaust, you're going to go, I don't like the people doing that. And if the media doesn't recognize that that is an untenable situation and consistently says, shut the up. If you say you don't like the live stream Holocaust, then you're anti-Semitic. Then people are going to go, yeah, I'm anti-Semitic then. That is where we're at. That is what's going on. So institutions like the Apartheid Defense League, with that conflation, have played a formative role in anti-Semitism skyrocketing in this country. And I don't mean literally, I mean literally and also figuratively. As in, they quite literally cook the books personally to make this argument that anti-Semitism is skyrocketing, even though it is skyrocketing. Real anti-Semitism is skyrocketing. But the ADL numbers are... Why are the ADL numbers... When are you going to talk to E instead of reacting to every time he talks about it? You keep saying you want to talk to him, but never reach out. That's so stupid. Shut your stupid mouth. I have reached out. He is the one who is too to have me on the show or talk to me. God damn it. I'm talking about some real ass shit here, and you're over here talking about me. My favorite content creator is on an extended crash out. Why won't you talk to him? I can't talk to him. He's too scared. He's a pussy. That's why, okay? Yeah, anti-Semitism skyrocketed because I didn't watch the context puke. That's why. Anti-Semitism skyrocketed. Why? Because of me. I did it. Anyway. Yeah, we're talking about real anti-Semitism, and this dumbass chatter's like, well, what about this drama? So, as I was saying, these are people that are also responsible for why anti-Semitism is skyrocketing in this country. But ADL has also cooked the books by accelerating the ridiculous conflation of Judaism and Israel by saying pro-Palestinian demonstrations are automatically anti-Semitic incidents. This is ridiculous. Okay? This is ridiculous. It was crazy. So yeah, of course, it looks like, oh, well, anti-Semitic incidents are actually, they've grown by 7 million%, as a matter of fact. Because I've decided that when a college freshman says, like, I'm wearing a keffiyeh, and I said, free Palestine, that's actually an anti-Semitic incident. Oh, I saw a sign that said free parking, but I thought it said free Palestine, and I thought that was anti-Semitic. The Jews are tired. That's E. Fartlow, for those of you who don't know. That's an anti-Semitic incident. If you do that, then yeah, You're not taking the issue seriously. And it's ironic because you're supposed to take this issue seriously. This is your job. Your job is to care about anti-Semitism. But you're so horny to defend Israel that you just are promoting anti-Semitism. You're making more anti-Semitism. When someone says Israel and free Palestine, and you got like famous people coming out and being like, their visa should be revoked, they should be in prison, like our boys over at Kneecap, why would anyone take any claim you ever say seriously on this issue ever again? If you say, oh, you made a tier list where you says Sabra hummus is the worst tier hummus, a tier list that's about like how Arab coded you are, a Habibi tier list, that's actually no one's going to take you seriously ever again. What are you doing? And it's especially mind-boggling because real anti-Semitism is spiked at this point. What the
Incidents in the United States are at the highest level since at least 1979. That is the chilling finding from the Anti-Defamation League's annual audit of anti-Semitic incidents published this morning. The report finds incidents increased significantly over the past year.
Yeah, that is because they added anti-Israel protests to the anti-Semitic incident metric. That is part of it. I feel like if someone were to make an accurate assessment of the anti-Semitic incidents that the ADL has logged in 2023 and 2024, if they just looked at pure anti-Semitism, you know, drawing a swastika on a Hillel or something, you know what I mean? Or I don't know, saying the K word at a bunch of like Orthodox Jews that are walking down the street or some shit like that. If that was what they were presenting, or sig heiling or whatever, unless you're nice to Israel, then it's okay that it's not an anti-Semitic incident, because I don't think they added Elon Musk sig heiling at the inauguration as one of the anti-Semitic incidents that happened in the year 2024 or 2025. That is why this list is busted. Anyway, my point is, if you looked at the actual numbers, they would probably still show a major spike, because a lot of people associate Israel with Judaism. And when they see baby murder, they go, oh, well, what the Jews are loving baby, it seems. And they go and do anti-Semitic shit. Part of the problem, oh, they admitted 58% were anti-Israel incidents? That makes it even funnier. Oh my God. Percent of anti-Semitic incidents are fake. Incidentally, the ADL's campus update email list is legit one of the most batshit things you can subscribe to. Here's just the last couple of weeks, a nonstop torrent of bad faith, tabloid, fear-mongering, racism, and libel. The ADL 100% supports what Trump is doing. Oh, yeah, I'm going to talk about that in a second. Yeah, audit of anti-Semitic incidents, executive summary. By the way, I do not trust the ADL, okay? Call me an anti-Semite for that take if you want to. I do not trust an institution that gets backing from the Israeli Knesset, okay? I do not trust an institution that goes to Israel and talks about how important it is to do a propaganda war in the Western world. These are things that Jonathan Greenblatt has done. I do not trust an institution that has spied on American Jews over and over again. And I'm not even talking about recently, because they do that they do that right now as well, but they did it in the past too, at the behest of another apartheid, the South African apartheid. That's right. In the 90s, the Apartheid Defense League, also known as the Anti-Defamation League, was caught spying on American Jews, union leaders, and black activists that were protesting against the South African apartheid. Do you understand? The ADL has engaged in acts of espionage on American soil at the behest of not only Israel, but also fucking apartheid South Africa. This is a real thing that they did in the fucking 90s. So I don't even trust any fucking information that they put out there, because I know what their position is. It's ridiculous. ADL tracks incidents of anti-Semitic harassment, vandalism, and assault in the United States since 1979. We have published this information on an annual audit of anti-Semitic incidents. In 2024, ADL tabulated 9,354 anti-Semitic incidents across the United States. That represents a 5% increase from the 8,873 incidents recorded in 2023, a 344% increase over the past 5 years, and an 893% increase over the past 10 years. It is the highest number on record since ADL began tracking anti-Semitic incidents 46 years ago. Incidents of vandalism and assault increased significantly in 2024. Assaults increased by 21% to 196 incidents. For the first time in the history of the audit, a majority of all incidents contain elements related to Israel or Zionism. Oh, so the majority of the incidents that you logged were not even fucking valid. You see what the problem is when you fucking present yourself as an institution that is supposed to fucking defend Jews in America against anti-Semitism, and then you so very openly fucking defend the apartheid state that is doing a genocide instead, and in that process, you literally make this information impossible to use. I can't use this information. I can't use this information at all. And I need information like this because this is what I do. My job is to combat anti-Semitism as well. So ironically enough, when an institution that is supposed to be tasked with combating anti-Semitism is so openly, so nakedly, at a time when they are needed the most, as a matter of fact, so nakedly increasing anti-Semitism, literally and figuratively, by fucking massaging the numbers and adding anti-Israel statements onto their anti-Semitic incident report, they fucking fail spectacularly. Oh, a large portion of Israel-related anti-Semitic incidents occurred at or the vicinity of anti-Israel protests. Out of over 5,000 anti-Israel rallies tracked by ADL in 2024, 2,596 involved anti-Semitic messaging in the form of signs, chants, or speeches. Fuck you. Suck my fucking cock, okay? Suck it from the back. Oh my God, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. That's an anti-Semitic incident. I'm not even lying about this. This is literally what they actively say. Oh. What the fuck? What is this? Like, what happens to the mind of an Israel dick rider? What happens to your mind when you want to defend Israel so hard that you become a fucking psychopath who is hallucinating on a regular fucking basis, and simultaneously, as you are defending the oppressive settler colonial state that is doing a genocide, you somehow constantly find yourself as the victim. How the fuck is this possible? How? I used to be one. I can kind of explain maybe. Anti-Semitism has also increased, but it's almost definitely more from the hogs than it is for the pro-Palestinian protesters. No, I already mentioned that anti-Semitism has increased, which is why I think it's fucking bullshit that the ADL, which is supposed to be a reputable institution that that logs anti-Semitic incidents, are fucking dropping the ball when people need a reputable institution to be like, hey, we are not in the business of defending Israel. We're in the business just at looking at anti-Semitic incidents. Oh. And it's fucking ironic because you know where anti-Semitism has blown up? You know how Israel accuses Palestinians of being taught from a young age to hate Jews? No, I know. I know that is the underlying basis of Zionism is racism against Arabs and racism against those who are believers in Islam. I know. It's projection. Everything Israel does is projection, including they teach their children to hate Israel and Jews from birth. This is why they are terror babies. Like, that's all bullshit. It's all fucking projection. Those babies in fucking Gaza don't need to go to school to learn to hate Israel. And Israel also presents itself as the Jewish state there, by the way. Okay? They learn that lesson when the school explodes and a bomb is dropped from a fucking F-15 that has the Star of David on the side of it. They learned that lesson when the Star of David is carved onto the heads of their uncles or their cousins. They learned that lesson of hating Israel when their lives are ruined, when their family members are killed. It's fucking projection when Israel says, oh, they have to teach their children to hate Israel and the Jews. I wonder why people hate the Star of David or manifestations of Judaism and Jewish symbols in places like Gaza or in places like the West Bank. Perhaps it's because if a Jewish house is spray painted with a Star of David in a place like France, for example, that means that maybe there's going to be an anti-Semitic attack towards the people living in that house, the Jews living in that house. But when you spray paint the Star of David on the side of a home in the West Bank, that means a bunch of rabid, sociopathic, inbred settlers are going to come to your fucking house and they're going to firebomb it. And then a bunch of Israeli occupying force terrorists are going to come and defend those rabid settlers. It basically works like a fucking swastika on that side of the world. So of course people see this association and surprisingly still don't hate Jews, which is shocking, okay? For Palestinians to not literally go, no, any depiction of Israel or Judaism reminds me of the bombs that are falling on my head. Like, the fact that they still don't hate Jews is shocking, okay? It's shocking. It's essentially the same as Republican strategy of saying everyone is out to get you. They say everyone in the Middle East hates Israel because they hate Jews and Israel has to keep us safe. Exactly. For a Palestinian to hate manifestations of Judaism in the way that they've experienced it, like, for example, when they fucking propped up the menorah in the middle of the fucking Gaza Strip in the midst of their ongoing genocide, is like saying, why did Jews in the immediate aftermath of World War II hate the fucking Germans? What? I'm sorry. I guess the Jews didn't appreciate fucking strudels anymore. Like, no, it's because the fucking Germans annihilated them. What are you talking about? It's so fucking stupid. Many American Jews and Israel supporters remain blissfully unaware of the role of Jewish supremacy / fascism in Israel. My mom hadn't even heard of Kahanism until I told her like a week ago. Ironic, because Kahan is an American invention too. That's another thing. Just like Jewish supremacy paired up with American exceptionalism created this fucking insane ideology that literally was designated as a terrorist ideology by the fucking state of Israel until not that long ago. Israel was like, we are a violent, fascist ideology-backed Jewish supremacist ethno-state, but this is a bridge too far for us. That's what they used to say. Star of David is not a Jewish symbol, it's a Zionist symbol. Symbol of Judaism is the menorah. Dude, or lady, they use the fucking menorah as well. That's what I'm saying. They propped up, they fucking, first of all, Star of David is a Jewish symbol. So that's also ridiculous. But they use all of the symbols of Judaism as a shield of defense in the Western world and as a way to reassert Jewish supremacist thought in the region. Anyway, last thing Palestinians see before their families, last thing the world sees before dead babies in FYP. Yeah. Anyway, so I talk about this all the fucking time. I talk about this all the time, over and over and over again. Okay, Israel and the way that Israel supporters conflate Judaism with the state, with the apartheid state that is currently conducting a fucking ethnic cleansing campaign, is akin to Muslims living in the Western world and Muslims all around the world saying ISIS is the true version of Islam. Okay, it's literally like saying, no, ISIS is awesome actually, and you're fucking Islamophobic if you don't like what ISIS is doing. Like, it makes no damn sense. And to make matters even more annoying and unsustainable, okay, the defenders of Israel, especially in the Western world, take the most arrogant and the most entitled fucking stance you have ever seen, where the expectation is, of course you're gonna fucking give me another $12 billion of weapons that I will immediately deploy on mostly children under the age of 18. I'm going to kill more children. And if you say that that's bad, you should be fired from your fucking job. This is the basic premise that we're talking about. Why the fuck would Americans look at that and go, yeah, no, this is great, actually? It's basically gotten to a point in the United States of America that the only people who have this kind of, the only people that look at what the Zionist arrogance and entitlement and still say, no, they're the chosen sons and daughters of God and we got to send all the Jews to the desert so the fucking rapture can happen, is psychopathic, also inbred evangelical Christians that go to mega churches and have anti-Semitic televangelists like fucking John Hagee constantly tell them that, like, we have to keep giving money by way of kufi to Israel so that they can keep fighting the Muslim scourge. And then one day Jesus Christ will come back to earth and fight the devil's forces in Megiddo. This is literally real. It sounds like a fucking anime. That is unironically a thing that tens of millions of Americans believe. Okay? Oh. So yeah, when I explain all this shit to you, perhaps it makes it easier to understand why fucking anti-Semitism is exploding in this goddamn country. Yeah, John Hagee also famously said God sent Hitler so that 6 million Jews could be fucking ethnically cleansed so that they could kickstart the process of creating the state of Israel. That is crazy. That is an insane thing to say. You know who invited him to DC to speak? Israel did. That's right. And all of those fucking assholes like Van Jones or Chuck Schumer that wrote an entire book about the growing anti-Semitism concerns in America, they sat next to Pastor John Hagee, who famously said that thing about Adolf Hitler. Okay. He also said Adolf Hitler was Jewish himself and also half Jewish, half Jew, half Antichrist. That's what he said. Okay. They sat next to him. They stood up on a fucking podium that he spoke at the pro-Israel, we need to kill more babies rally in Washington, D.C., and they spoke right after him. So when those guys tell me about rocketing, I laugh. Bitch, what do you mean? You're there with the fucking arch anti-Semite. What are you talking about? Oh, yeah. My brother in Christ, you made the sandwich, you know? Anyway, the report contradicts itself farther down from where you are. Reading, they say ADL does not consider criticism of Israel or general anti-Israel activism to be anti-Semitic and does not count such incidents in the audit. Yeah, that's a lie, okay? Because the ADL considers the Jewish Voice for Peace organization to be an anti-Semitic organization. They consider Students for Justice of Palestine an anti-Semitic organization. They consider From the River to the Sea, Palestine will be free to be an anti-Semitic chant. So when you add all of those things as anti-Semitic incidents, but then still fucking maintain this position that you don't actually care about anti-Israel activism, it's just within the neat little confines that we have designed for you, in the same way that Ethan Klein fucking constantly talks about how he is the guy who gets to dictate how you get to criticize Israel because he's Jewish and he's the Pope of the Jews, like Ben Shapiro, as Sam Cedar famously says, you know, that everything and anything that you declare anti-Semitic is anti-Semitic. Elon Musk throwing up a fucking Sig Heil, both the ADL and Ethan, at least in the way that he keeps fucking throwing it up himself, doesn't brandish as the most anti-Semitic incident, it seems. Sabra Hummus, anti-Semitic incident. And yes, for the chatter asking, does the ADL not see that most of America is moving towards not supporting Israel? Do they not understand grouping together lack of support for Israel and anti-Semitism is super harmful to them? Yeah. They do see that, and they're fucking terrified of it, which is why they secretly and sometimes publicly love the deportation initiatives that the Trump administration is engaging in, because they think that they can silence this kind of fucking speech and this kind of protest, and it will all go away. All they are participating in that process is creating more resentment towards Jews. Yeah. And lo and behold, what is really fucking insane, and Megaphonics is absolutely correct for this, Twitter happily accepted money without a second glance in exchange for promoting this anti-Semitic screed, by the way. Twitter is the primary place where anti-Semitism has exploded. Twitter is owned by Elon Musk, and after Elon Musk took over Twitter, he actively allowed neo-Nazis to be on the platform. He opened up the algorithmic faucet for neo-Nazi takes to run wild on this platform. I saw a dude writing a long-ass rant about how the Klan was actually a self-protection measure against the unruly blacks the other day. Do you know how many likes that thread had? 20,000 when I looked at it. 20,000 likes. Every other day, there's another fucking post of like Adolf Hitler, and people are just like, oh, this was the most misunderstood figure in history. 100,000 likes. Where is the anti-Semitism coming from? According to the ADL, certainly not Elon Musk, certainly not Twitter, certainly not the Trump administration. It's coming from English majors who are Jewish themselves who say, don't do this genocide in our name. Those are the anti-Semites, not Twitter, not Elon Musk. At a certain point, you have to recognize that they don't give a shit about anti-Semitism. I'm sorry. Jonathan Greenblatt does not give a fuck about anti-Semitism. Why even bother talking about anti-Semitism in the context of Israel-Palestine? It feels like constantly talking about the dangers of anti-white racism. Aren't they a part of the in-group? To a certain degree, yes, at least for the time being. But things are changing quite rapidly. Historically, no. There was a brief moment where, yes, Jews were white and got the white status. Not always, and certainly not in in certain circles that still have a lot of institutional power and control. That time is passing very quickly, partially because of this shit, as a matter of fact. Anti-Semitism is a real bigotry. Anti-white racism is not. Anti-Semitism is a real bigotry that is actually a dirty fucking Arab. That's what this guy said. Yeah. Yeah, we should put that in the anti-Arab hatred database, you know? No. Let's hear what other kind of awesome takes this dumb fuck has to have. Yeah, Adam Friedland's what are they going to do? Take white from us bit? Yeah. The difference is like he is worried about that. There's a difference between visible prejudices versus invisible prejudices. I'm not visibly Jewish when I walk on the street. I'm just white, so I don't really have to worry about that. I'm also worried about posting online that I'm Jewish and seeing Nazis in my replies. Yeah. Anyway, it's also, no, there's also a more significant factor here as well beyond visible and invisible privileges or prejudices, and that is institutional prejudices. There is no institutional permissibility for anti-Semitism, but there is certainly a lot of institutional allowance for Islamophobia. Okay? This is very important. But ironically enough, the Trump administration recognizes that reality, which is why they're using Israel as an entry point to erode First Amendment freedoms, because Israel has eroded First Amendment freedoms in this country. Israel is the only country, and its lobbying group is the only lobbying group that has been able to successfully, with the exception of the agribusiness industry, Israel and the agriculture business is the only two lobbying groups that have been able to successfully undermine First Amendment protections in this country, and they did it quietly for decades. You have the ag gag on the one side, where you know, it's illegal to fucking film processing facilities and shit like that. And you have Israel on the other side. Okay? AIPAC has been able to write legislation in 30 plus states in this country where if you ever protest against the state of Israel, if you ever actually attempt to boycott the state of Israel, if you ever actually demand divestment from Israel or Israeli products, or if you ever advocate to apply sanctions to the state of Israel, then you can be fired from your fucking job. That's real. The two senators at the time that constantly fucking railed against this, by the way, was Bernie Sanders and, rest in peace, Dianne fucking Feinstein, ironically enough. Now, the Trump administration knows this, which is precisely the reason why they're using the institutional muscle that a lot of these pro-Israeli groups that masquerade as pro-Jewish groups, that masquerade as groups that are combating anti-Semitism, and the institutional muscle they have within liberal circles, within NGOs, within progressive movements to their advantage. That is precisely the reason why when they go to Harvard and say, hey, we're going to come after you if you don't fix this anti-Semitism that's running rampant on your campus, and Harvard says, yes, sir, of course we will do that. They quietly concede on that note. And then the Trump administration comes back and says, actually, we want more. We want you to fucking hire all of our conservative fail sons. We want you to admit all of our conservative fail sons. We want you to do affirmative action for dumb fucking hogs. And Harvard says, no, enough is enough. What is the lesson to learn from this? It is that a lot of these liberal institutions still very much can be manipulated, very much will concede on points as long as you say, oh, this is anti-Semitism. And that's precisely the reason why, precisely the fucking reason why the Trump administration, knowing this, is not eroding the First Amendment off of, I don't know, anti-Christian thought first, because if they were to do that, everyone would be like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's precisely why the point of entry into eroding the First Amendment is through combating, in air quotes, anti-Semitism. Do you understand? Because all of these fucking groups have designed a perfect opportunity for a fascist administration to take over and follow their desires to its logical conclusion. That's it. I know they're not going to do the anti-Christian bias yet, though. Don't worry. That's coming too. Of course it's coming. It's never going to stop. Fascism is a suicide death cult for this reason. It's just, we're talking right now about how they are going to start the conversation, how they have started. They've started this attempt by opening up the floodgates and creating a new precedent around the First Amendment, if the Supreme Court allows it to, by prosecuting falsely the likes of Rumeysa Öztürk, the likes of Mosen, the likes of Mahmoud Khalil, okay? And they will move on from the prosecution of anti-Israel sentiment to anti-Christian bias and numerous other biases. And they're simultaneously trying to revoke citizenship. Eventually, they'll denaturalize. They will try to tackle birthright. These are all things that they're trying to do right now. It's a multifaceted battle. Okay, institutions like this are playing a formative role in this,
and that those happening on college campuses rose more steeply than in any other location. Joining me now to talk more about these findings is CEO and National Director of the ADL, Jonathan Greenblatt, who this week in the Time 100 issue is named one of the 100 most influential people in the world. I'll just throw that out there, Jonathan.
Yeah, Adolf Hitler was too, so.
But let's focus on this finding, because we have talked for the past several years as you've released this report, and it's been an increase. Last year, it was a huge spike. They continue to trend higher. The explosion, I mean, you can see on the screen, we're putting up a graphic that really illustrates the data that you are putting out here over the past 2 years is stunning.
Yeah, I mean, look, Deanna, I feel like I say this every year, but we've never seen a moment like this. But the reality is, over the last decade, anti-Semitic incidents in America are up nearly 900%. And to think that after breaking the record last year, we did it yet again. But this is the 5th time in 6 years that we've shattered another ceiling. And we're talking about nearly 9,400 incidents in 2024, almost 200 acts of assault, more than 2,600 cases of vandalism, and more than 6,500.
When they say that, by the way, they're talking about like a bakery, okay, that's doing a fundraiser for the IDF or some shit. And then someone goes and spray paints that bakery. And then they go, oh my God, this is an act of anti-Semitism. You're attacking a Jewish business. It's like, no, dumbass. I'll give you an example of a real instance of anti-Semitic vandalism that you might have considered not to be a real instance of anti-Semitic vandalism versus a fake instance of anti-Semitic vandalism that is being marked as a real one. There is a Yiddish language learning center in Brooklyn. And in the immediate aftermath of October 7, the Yiddish language learning center in Brooklyn was tagged with graffiti saying like, fuck Israel or whatever. Okay? That is a instance, is a lighter version of this, but it's still an instance of anti-Semitic vandalism. Why? Because what the fuck does the Yiddish language center have to do with Israel? If anything, its very existence is antithetical to the Zionist project. But most people don't know that. So they think, oh, Jewish institution, they probably love Israel, so let's go fucking tag it. That is a real instance. That is an unfortunate byproduct of Israel packaging itself as the nation state for all Jews and packaging its actions as doing this for Jews in general. Okay? But it's still a real instance of anti-Semitic vandalism. The example I will use next is an instance of anti-Semitic vandalism that Jonathan Greenblatt will add on to the anti-Semitic incident report that is not actually anti-Semitic. It is anti-Zionist. Tagging a bookstore that is owned by a Jewish Israeli person that is using their bookstore to fundraise for the IDF. That is not an anti-Semitic instance of vandalism. That is an anti-Zionist instance of vandalism. Do you understand? Do you understand the difference? One has nothing to do with Israel. The other one has everything to do with Israel. One is simply a Jewish Yiddish language learning center that unfortunately got caught in the fucking crosshairs, okay, by someone who is responding to that conflation and going, fuck you. The other is people engaging in an act of protest against an institution that is using a storefront to literally more terror. That's it. You're informing us, but you can't expect the ADL to make these considerations. No, the reason why the ADL doesn't make these considerations is because their entire purpose is not to actually log anti-Semitic incidents. The only reason why they log real anti-Semitic incidents is so that they can conflate it with fake anti-Semitic incidents, incidents of anti-Zionism. And if they didn't do that, if they only cared, if this institution came out and was like, we are the Apartheid Defense League, we only care about the apartheid, whether it's South Africa doing it, whether it's Israel doing it, we don't care. We are lovers of apartheid. Okay. And we only care about anti-Zionism. Everyone would go, what the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? Everyone would be like, okay, well, you're an unserious institution. Fuck you. That's the reason why they make this conflation. The only reason why they actually log anti-Semitic hate, real anti-Semitic hate, is so they can make that conflation.
Cases of harassment. And these are Jewish people being assaulted or molested or otherwise, intimidated in public spaces, on college campuses, in political environments, not because of something they've done.
Yeah, another common, in air quotes, anti-Semitic incident is where protesters show up to like a Chabad or some like Jewish community center. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute. Protesters are showing up to a Jewish community center? This seems like Nazi Germany to me. And then you fucking find out that that Jewish community center is selling stolen homes in the fucking West Bank. Well, what do you mean? What are people supposed to do? Go, nah, that's fine, actually. You are illegally selling foreign real estate that you do not fucking own. That is psychotic. Of course people are going to fucking protest that. New York City real estate expert promoting the sale of stolen land in Palestine descends into violence. And a lot of people at first believe that shit. And I explained it away over and over and over again on this broadcast. Hopefully some people understood what I was talking about, but many people did not. Yeah, here it is. Look, what were they protesting? There's 100+ synagogues in LA. Why were the protests at this one? Biden condemns protests outside a Los Angeles synagogue as anti-Semitic. President Joe Biden appalled by violence during the pro-Palestine protests at the Los Angeles synagogue. President Joe Biden appalled by violence during the pro-Palestine protests at Los Angeles synagogue. Why were the pro-Palestinian protesters outside of this Los Angeles synagogue? Why were they there? Is it because they fucking hate Jews? Is that why? Were they like, I hate Jews and Jewish expression? I hate when Jews go to the synagogue? Is that what it was? Is that what was going on here? Why, oh, why did they do that? Oh, that's right. It's because the event at the synagogue was organized by My Israel Home, a firm that markets real estate in Israel and West Bank settlements, and was advertising on social media. Oh, so they weren't protesting Jews going to the fucking synagogue. They were protesting an event organized by a fucking terrorist cell that was promoting the sale of homes that do not belong to them, that they are going to violently remove the indigenous Palestinians from and then sell to American Jews at a place of fucking worship. That is depraved. This is what I mean. So many Jewish institutions of faith, so many Jewish advocacy groups, okay, that claim that they care about improving the lives of Jews have absolutely sold American Jews and Western Jews and all Jews around the world to the idea that Zionism trumps your well-being here, okay? That's why my Jewish friends who are anti-Zionists are far more radical than I ever could be, because they recognize this reality. It is fucking insane. It's no different than ISIS. It's what people claimed CARE and all of these like Muslim advocacy groups were doing. But Israel gets to do it in broad fucking daylight, and there's no expectation of pushback. There's no expectation that people will learn the wrong lessons from this conflation that is not only incorrect, but very fucking dangerous. Says the Muslims who complain about anyone come and need their mosques where they store weapons that plot against the Jews. Stay away from synagogues. Hypocrites. Yes, dude. You go to a mosque in Dearborn, Michigan, and they just have all of their weapons there to kill every non-Muslim with eventually. Says the Muslim. Yeah, they keep the nukes in the Dearborn tunnels. In any case, all of this plays a major role in Americans looking at the situation and going, okay, well, I guess all Jews do love this shit. What the fuck are they supposed to learn? Americans are too stupid and too self-interested to learn anything. So if you keep hammering this lesson to their brains, their malleable, prepubescent minds over and over again, yeah, they're going to respond with, okay, well, I guess I am an anti-Semite. You know what I mean? So it's extra ironic if you are Jewish, a liberal Zionist who also is Jewish, and you fucking put the crosshairs on people like myself, or people like Morgan, or people like Denims, or people like Michael from PA. These people who abhor anti-Semitism, who combat anti-Semitism, but are also anti-Israel. Okay? If that's where your battles are going to be fought, people like Sean the Black, if your battles are going to be fought when anti-Semitism is exploding and has gotten more popularity than ever before since, like, I guess maybe the American Bund movement, okay? And you're hyper-focusing on a handful of leftist content creators, progressive content creators who abhor anti-Semitism, who combat anti-Semitism, and are anti-Zionist, you're a fucking moron. That's it. This is not a message to any particular person.
But just because of who they are, what they believe in, it's fundamentally un-American.
And you talk in this about something that we just see with our own eyes, which is that the anti-Semitic incidents on college and university campuses, that is what has spiked more than any other location. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about that, and especially as it relates to what we're hearing from the Trump administration, Jonathan, because they are cracking down on top universities.
Yeah, let's hear what fucking Jonathan has to say. Jonathan, who is so busy combating anti-Semitism that, you know what he did? Alongside Ethan fucking Klein, by the way, demanded that Twitch ban some of those content creators that I just mentioned, myself included. Twitch banned some of those content creators. And also made Zionist a protected category. The ideology of Zionism is a fascist ideology. It is an exterminationist ideology built around ethno-religious supremacy. Okay? And now it is a protected category. Think about that. That's what he's busy with, this dumb fuck. He thinks people like myself, people like Morgan, are actually saying Jew when they mean Zionist. That is the argument here. If I hated Jews, I would just fucking say it, okay? Look at fucking Candace Owens. Look at Dan Bilzerian. Look at all of the people who are getting so much clout all over Twitter. But of course, Jonathan Greenblatt can't combat Twitter, can't combat anti-Semitism on Twitter because Elon Musk is Donald Trump's butt buddy. Elon Musk and Donald Trump are very pro-Israel. So they can say and do whatever the fuck they want. They can even throw up Sig Heils, and Jonathan Greenblatt will defend them because he only cares about Israel. He does not care about anti-Semitism.
On what they say is all about anti-Semitism on campuses. They froze more than $2.2 billion in federal funding for Harvard. And that prompted you to say, quote, resolving the very real crisis facing Jews on campus should not jeopardize the American system of higher education. Do you think the Trump administration is using anti-Semitism, which you point out is very real, especially on college campuses, but using that to crack down on elite universities that it just doesn't like?
Things to kind of unpack here, Deanna. So number one, let's just underscore, anti-Semitism is a crisis, it's a catastrophe that has not gotten nearly enough attention from the very institutions where it's happening.
Yeah, no, totally. You're so right, man. Yeah, this is the, college institutes of higher learning, specifically Ivy League colleges and Hollywood. This is where anti-Semitism is exploding. What's next, dude? Are we going to talk about fucking law firms? Is that what? What are we doing? What the fuck? It's like a meme. It's like a joke. The capital of anti-Semitism is not the fucking Klan meet, okay? It's not the David Dukes of the world. It's actually Coachella, where Kneecap said, fuck Israel. The capital of anti-Semitism isn't actual anti-Semitic neo-Nazis that are firmly inside of the Trump administration, the Trump White House. It's actually Harvard. To also turn around and to say the media, there's not enough attention being presented towards anti-Semitism is like the most hysterical thing you can ever say. It's like when in the aftermath of October 7, you had like these Upper East Side New York Jews who were very fucking wealthy themselves and totally fine going to fucking parties and shit. And in between those parties, they were posting about like how scared they were to leave their houses and talking about, will you save me? Will you protect me? Will you hide me? You're going to get canary mission for this? Brother, you think I haven't gotten canary missioned already? Or what the fuck are you talking about? Will you hide me? Yeah, you know who we have to hide? People who have fucking spoken out against Israel. That's what we have to actually fucking hide. Because the federal government is coming after them and deporting them and blackbagging them, which is the question that Dana is actually presenting to Jonathan Greenblatt here. And Jonathan Greenblatt's first response to this is, you know, no one has actually cared about anti-Semitism at these fucking institutions. No one's talking about it. That's all people talk about. I've talked about it so fucking much.
Again, at ADL, we issue an annual report card.
Like, look at the exploding anti-Semitism they're showcasing here. You know what this was? This was Cambridge, Massachusetts. I think it was in Harvard. Okay, those are protest field marshals trying to stop a I assume the student was Jewish, counter-protester, a Zionist counter-protester, from filming the faces of this die-in protest that they engaged in on the campus yard, okay? This was a die-in. It's like a sit-in, but they're just like showing, they're just doing a protest, okay? Zionist counter-protester comes in with a phone, camera ready to go, specifically to dox every fucking student that participated in it. Every single student that participated in it. And remember, this is like a couple months at this point. No, not a couple months. Sorry. This is 10 days after October 8th. So this is after the campuses have gotten these fucking insane vans that are plastering the names and faces of prominent anti-Zionist students on campus. Remember when they did that shit? Remember how fucking insane that was? This is when Bill A. Pac-Man is talking about blacklisting students for daring to criticize the state of Israel. So close to October 7. How dare they? Remember all that shit? I remember. I couldn't fucking believe how rabid and bloodthirsty the Zionist movement had gotten in the United States of America, where they thought that they could fucking get away with that shit. And to a certain degree, they did get away with that shit. Most people don't even fucking remember those vans. Think about that. For those of you who didn't see it, I want to show you. Does anyone have a link to the fucking vans that were all around college campuses? This happened because the Canary Mission has a robust docs list, and they immediately floated that docs list to whatever organization that was insane enough to go out and rent these fucking massive billboard vans that would plaster the faces of all students who had written an article about Israel's depravity. Now those lists are being used for deportation lists, by the way, which is so fucking crazy. Doxing truck is back at Columbia University campus now, but with names on all sides because students attempted to cover it up. Driver's window is now tinted. Many students targeted didn't even sign the statement. They're just Arab, Muslim, and Palestinian. Remember how fucking nutty this shit was? This is November 1st, 2023. Think about that. Think about how fucking unacceptable this shit was. Think about how insane this shit was. Bro, I'm telling you right now, it would be valid if you did this towards like unmasking people who are fucking white supremacists, right? And even then, there would be significantly more backlash towards this. Okay? Let alone the fact that you are saying these people are anti-Semitic because they're anti-Israel. If you did this for white supremacists, you would get destroyed by Fox News. Fox News would be like, you're ruining the lives of these brave, bold students for the crime of what? Speaking their minds? If you did this for those who work within the Canary Mission, if you did this for students on campuses that are prominent in the counter-protest movement, Zionist students on campuses, can you imagine? Can you imagine if I, with the money that I have, okay, went and rented out a truck to go all over fucking college campuses and I plastered the faces and names, and some of them even had addresses, mind you, of all of the Jewish, Israeli, pro-Zionist students. I would get fucking assassinated. Can you imagine what that would look? I'd go to CCOP before I even finish the fucking trip around the block. Think about that. But this shit is appropriate, right? But that doesn't even work because you'd be putting your name on it, where these groups that funded this remain nameless, so no accountability. That's not true. That's not true. They're not nameless. We know The Lobby was an Al Jazeera documentary that uncovered a lot of the fucking major funders of this shit. There are also big donors that are public, like Seinfeld did this shit in fucking UCLA campus. Jerry Seinfeld is a public figure. Accuracy and media digital billboard trucks return to campus displaying image of Shafiq. Trucks first appeared in campus. This is August 16, 2024. Do not make the same mistake. ColumbiaHateJews.com. Dude, the other thing that I find really funny about like how insane this is, like this is literally, this operation is conducted by a schizophrenic person. Like, no disrespect to schizos out there. I'm not trying to tarnish your reputation by saying that you're all Zionists. But like, I think mental illness paired up with Zionism, which is a different form of mental illness as well, creates this like very specific way of doing advocacy. Okay? It creates this very specific way of doing advocacy. And we know in this community what that kind of advocacy looks like, because I have a schizo Zionist 60-year-old stalker paired up with the sex pest and exactly this. The URL is given the same energy as HamasBiker.com or numerous other websites that they've made, IP grabbers that they've made, like what's it fucking called? The crazy fucking websites that they've made, like the HamasBiker.com is one of them. TwitchHatesJews.com is another one, which is ironic. It's like literally the same naming convention here. ColumbiaHatesJews.com, or was it Dan Clancy HatesJews.com or something? Games at DanClancySucks.com. Twitcher Terrorist, the game that they made. Advertise on Twitch.com is another one. Yeah. It's really interesting where like you kind of manic post in the same exact way where you think like you're fighting a just cause and you just come across like a fucking unhinged sociopathic asshole.
Braiding colleges and universities. And they, for too long, failed to deal with this issue in a strategic, systematic way. So let's acknowledge that, number one. Number two, let's also acknowledge that the federal government, which is pumping billions of dollars into higher education, has the right to expect some degree of accountability from them. We've seen, the U.S. government demand it with law enforcement agencies, with other institutions. They're pressing here, and that is long overdue. Now, at the same
so you like it?
Time, let's also admit that I think there are ways you can tackle anti-Semitism. You can go at this cancer without killing the victim, if you will. So, for example, our system of higher ed, it's the envy of the world. It fuels innovation. It enables economic prowess. It is so important to our scientific leadership on the planet. I don't want to obliterate the whole thing. So I think there's a way with...
Why? Why do you get to obliterate anything? Who the fuck are you? You're just some fucking asshole that works with the Israeli government. Like, why the fuck should I have to listen to you? Okay? Do I have to listen to you as an American citizen? You're just another random American citizen. Who gives a fuck? The fuck do you mean? Like, oh, I don't want to obliterate the entirety of the institutes of higher learning here. Like, what the fuck do you mean? Who are you? Who the fuck are you?
Specific strategic measures that you can get to the root causes of anti-Semitism, and the federal government has a role to play, but I worry about the overreach that, again, could kill the golden goose, if you will.
Yeah. He's just worried about what it looks like for Jews in America to a degree where it's like, okay, well, You know, maybe don't say shalom, Mahmoud, when you're doing the deportation. Israel has him thinking he has the right to obliterate things. That's what I mean. Zionism is such a specific type of brain rot where you literally think that everything is Israel, and everyone that you want to tackle, you can tackle in the same way that Israel tackles Hamas. The mind of a Zionist is fascinating. Every Zionist, like, they are the fucking great state of Israel, and all their enemies are Palestinian children to be obliterated. Well, I don't want to obliterate all the Palestinian kids, just some of them, you know? The ones that are holding up copies of Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf. This guy spoke at the pro-Israel rally right next to UCLA encampment that led directly to the attack. He couldn't care less about student safety or the sanctity of higher education. Yeah, no, of course. He's a fucking fascist mouthpiece, and so is Dana. Okay? You defend the live-streamed Holocaust, you are a fucking Nazi. Okay? If we lived in a just world where justice was served, you would be tried at Nuremberg in a similar structure for all of the work you put in so that the Holocaust could continue. That's it. Go ahead, cry about how fucking anti-Semitic I am. How dare you compare a person that is combating anti-Semitism to a Nazi, to the worst atrocities perpetrated against the Jewish people. Okay? That's what you're doing. Never again doesn't mean never again just the Jews. Okay? There is a reason why there is an entire field of study dedicated to the fucking Holocaust. There is a reason for it. Ridiculous. Never again means never again for anyone.
And the Trump administration is also arresting international students, revoking some of their visas. You have been really clear that due process is essential. You have said that it's not even remotely clear that this has been the standard. What is the ADL doing to pressure the White House to give students who are being arrested due process?
Well, look, at the ADL, it's our job to protect the Jewish people. We're not sort of public defenders for some of the Hamasniks on these college campuses, and I don't want to be. And I think
Depraved asshole, dude. This is a civil rights organization, okay? Just understand what this fucking bald douchebag is saying. As the figurehead of a civil rights organization, I'm not here to protect the Hamasniks.
Look, at the ADL, it's our job to protect the Jewish people. We're not sort of public defenders for some of the Hamasniks on these college campuses, and I don't want to be. And I think I really need to say that. If you take Mahmoud Khalil, who was one of the ringleaders at Columbia, based on his conduct, we thought he was a very problematic individual. I don't know if he lied on his visa application or anything like that, but on his conduct, not his speech. The challenge becomes when the administration doesn't substantiate or clarify this.
Yeah. The real problem is that, oh God, his fucking IDF dog tag is shining in my eyes too. Ugh. That is a swastika, by the way. That is no different than the fucking totem cough, okay? Straight up. Straight the fuck up. Wearing an Israeli occupying force dog tag as you're on CNN. That is a symbol of significantly more evil than the fucking Al-Qassam Brigade's headband. Okay? Straight up. You can't argue with facts. If you do not recognize the Israeli occupying force as a far greater evil than the Al-Qassam Brigades that committed October 7, okay, not just Al-Qassam Brigades, the entire Palestinian resistance played a role in October 7. The entirety of the Palestinian militancy, led by the Al-Qassam Brigades, certainly. And what Israel has done since then as a belligerent occupier is far greater. It is not even remotely comparable, okay? It is not even remotely comparable. It's like wearing the ISIS banner, basically. Straight up. It's like if a Muslim dude that is working with CARE or something, or like some kind of like Islamic charity, got up on Dana Bash and was wearing the fucking ISIS banner and talking about, like, we're here to defend Muslims. We don't care if Jews get deported.
Specifics of the charges. So that's where this due process thing comes into the works. Now, again, It's not my job at ADL to provide due process for some of these young people.
No, but you have a very big megaphone.
We do, and so we want the individuals who are behind groups that support foreign terror organizations dealt with. We think there should be accountability when people commit violative behavior and conduct. But
yeah, he's saying do it the right way. We want you to deport people for the crime of protesting against Israel. You just got to give us some facts so we can make it defensible, Mr. President. That's what this conversation is.
You're going to tackle someone on speech or their ideas, you better clarify, you better substantiate so everyone.
Yeah, he's not even upset about tackling the concept of speech, by the way. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Suck my fucking dick, dude. If you don't like it, leave. Okay? You don't like it, leave. You go to Israel all the time. Stay there. You go and speak in front of the Knesset talking about the importance of doing a full-scale information war in the Western world. Stay there. They don't have free speech there. If that's what you want, stay there. Ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous. Oh, I don't want to implode our golden goose of higher institutions. It is fine to deport pro-Palestinian student activists as long as you show what kind of speech is not permissible. The fuck are you saying, dude?
Everyone understands. And I think if the administration does that, they'll have all people of good faith on their side.
John.
Ugh.
This morning,
I fucking hate this scumbag so much. The ADL is trying and failing to tiptoe the line between fueling Trump's crackdown on free speech / criticism of Israel, while also half-heartedly attempting to distance itself from the blowback that's causing more and more Americans to associate Israel with authoritarianism. Don't fall for Jonathan Greenblatt's bullshit. The ostensibly liberal ADL is one of the main drivers of Trump's crackdown on our constitutional rights. They are the ones to blame. No matter how much they try to deflect, they are celebrating it all behind the scenes. Oh, fucking Dana Fash, dude. Classic. Apartheid Defense League. Yes, we're going to do Isaac Chodener's piece on this as well. Don't worry, I'm coming to that right now.